We're going to be joined by Lauren Azoury to talk about a special Valentine's Day feature. We're going to be talking about love languages with the animals here in our West Bloomfield community. Lauren Azoury is the park supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. So Lauren, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too, Lauren. So let's first start off with telling us a little bit about some of those different types of love languages that the animals have and how they differ a little bit from something as us as humans may do.
Yeah, I thought today would be a fun topic considering Valentine's Day. So it's not quite that season for most animals yet, but for some it really is. You know, we think of spring as time for babies to be born, but right now owls are actually starting to hatch. Valentine's Day is when owl babies begin to hatch. And so the owls have been calling and hooting and howling at the dusk and the evening all winter long to attract their mates and establish their territories. So owl babies are, depending on the species of owl, but many owl species have been, their eggs have been laid and they've been hatching. But moving on to some of those spring animals that you think about is frogs. So frogs are kind of a funny one. So the frogs mate all spring and summer long, but different times of the year that there are different months that they attract each other. So spring peepers are these cute little frogs that fit their whole body on a nickel, and they're the first to sing. They're a great sign of spring. But guess what? Only the boy frogs sing. So only the males have vocal capabilities, and they have that to impress the ladies. So female frogs have no voice capabilities while male frogs do. So that can be kind of a little bit opposite from humans sometimes, not always, but sometimes. So that's a different one to listen for in the spring when all those boy frogs start to call and attract the ladies down to the pond. Another one that's great to listen and look for in the summertime is dragonflies. When dragonflies mate, their bodies, as they rotate in the sky together, look like a heart shape. So that's kind of cute. And it's amazing because the female lays about 700 eggs at a time in the water. So oftentimes we think of dragonflies as these amazing aerial artists swimming around, but they really do actually lay their eggs in the water, and they start out as babies. Aquatic insects under the water, and then change into an adult dragonfly with wings that we know of. So lots happening out there in the winter, but mostly more so happening out in the spring, and you hear a lot of sounds. Animals use a lot of noises to attract their mates.
Lauren, you talked a little bit about some of those different communication tactics, those sounds that those animals make. Are there any other different communication tactics that either the male or the female animals may use to attract their future soulmates?
Yeah, honeybees are really sweet, no pun intended, but we have honeybee hives that are hosted by Bees in the D at our Carner Farm by our community garden. And the male honeybees do what's called a waggle dance. So they dance via body movement. And the waggle dance is like in different figure 8 shapes, and that's how they attract their mates.
And then Lauren, are there any other things? Obviously on Valentine's Day, as humans, people love to give gifts or something like that to their loved ones. Are there any other sort of fun things on Valentine's Day that you want to talk about with those animals, whether it's maybe giving their soulmates or their mates a gift or something other than that?
That's a great question. I do know that blue jays like to stash acorns away, and they save that so that they can nourish the mom and the baby as they're having their babies in the springtime. So they like to find woodpecker holes and stash acorns in there to save for later. But one thing that bats do is they snuggle. So they do something that humans do. So after bats mate hanging upside down, and then oftentimes right now bats are hibernating. So they mated in the fall, and they fall asleep sometimes with the mates that they were mating with, and then hibernate snuggled up all winter long in the caves.
Well, very cool. Thanks for sharing that with us, Lauren. There's also some other fun events that the West Bloomfield Parks has. You guys have your winter pop-ups as well as your senior chili hike. Will you tell us about some of those events and how one can go about registering for those?
Absolutely. So one of our favorite events, we actually had to postpone because the crazy ice on the trails wasn't safe to be out there. But Snowshoe with Your Sweetie is an event where we talk about all of these things that we talked about today, animal love lives. And if conditions change, we love to do pop-up programs this time of year. We're really ready for anything. So we own snowshoes and we rent them to participants. So you can rent snowshoes at West Bloomfield Parks Recreation Activity Center. but we need 3 to 4 inches of snow to do that. So if we get some great snow in the next few days and we have staff availability, we oftentimes will have a program last minute. We don't do that all the time, but given the snow conditions and a great opportunity to explore out on the trails when it's super snowy, we add pop-up programs. So you can join, it's called our Winter Pop-Up Interest List. And if it's something you're curious about or want to maybe join, we email those people first so that they have a first chance to get out on those snowshoes or do winter activities that we have to have the right conditions for. Like we did a sled race recently as well, which was really fun. So we do have some of those pop-up opportunities as the snow allows, which I think Thursday there's supposed to be a big storm. And I know not everyone likes the snow, but at West Bloomfield Parks, outdoor recreation is kind of part of our business of fun. So we like to get people out in all weather, including snow. And then our chili hike you had mentioned is kind of a play on words. So it's chili like a burr as well as chili food to warm up with. So it's a senior hike led by our senior services department as well as one of our park naturalists. So you get some yummy food to nourish yourself as well as get out on the trails in the cold weather when you might not normally do that and learn a little bit about nature in winter.
Oh, awesome.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
The chili hike's coming up pretty soon. So if anyone's interested in that senior chili hike, it's February 25th. So make sure to register at wbparks.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lauren. It was such a pleasure to talk about those different lung languages as well as some of your upcoming events.
Thanks for having me. I often do kids programs, and this isn't a topic that we get to talk about with kids very often. So it was fun to be able to talk about animal love lives with you and your listeners today.
Thanks, Lauren. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.